little hard to see, but what I've essentially done here is I've sort of bodge wired in the power. So this is the loom for the second reversing camera that's not installed in the car. And what I've done is I've bodged in the trigger wire and the live wire into the loom here, the stereo, and I've done the negative obviously on the other side. And then I've plugged the feed from the camera into this loom and then out the other end and into the back of the stereo. Hope all that makes sense. So basically I've kind of fake hooked up the reversing camera here to the stereo. So the first thing I'm going to do, oh, is this still on? Oh, it's still on, is it? Oh, very cool. Okay, let me put on the ignition, see if that triggers the backup camera. Bingo. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but that should be looking at me here. There's my hand. Hello. Right, so with that in mind, let's put it back in park. And now if I turn on the car, happy days, this will all do its thing. So the question is, if I put it in reverse now, will I get a signal? If that happens, then it means that it's my routing that's the problem. Okay? Okay, you should have parking sensors. I don't need you shouting at me now. If I put it in reverse, what do I get? So engine is running and I have a reverse signal there. So that suggests to me engine's running, car's in park, or sorry, in reverse. So when I do this with the standard setup, it doesn't work. I don't get a reverse image like that. I'll just take it out of park again. So that tells me that the issue isn't with the stereo, it's with my camera in some way. Most likely just the routing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take away the Gorilla wiring stuff. Just turn the car off. I'm going to take away the Gorilla wiring stuff, push the other thing back but leave it out here and see if taking all this wire out here cleans up my signal. And if that's the case, then it's just a question of insulating it and putting it all back in. Alright, so now installed reverse cable is back in. Let me turn the stereo so I can see what's going on. Okay. Alright, I'm trying to key on to the first position. Which should give me stereo power. Alright, so there's power going to the camera. I've plugged everything back in. Okay, fine. Okay. So there we go. Stereo comes on. I'll put it in fake reverse for now. Yeah, go away. Right, so now if I turn on the key and put it in fake reverse, I get a reversing camera. Now the question is, if I put it in park and start it, and now if I put it in reverse, what do I get? No video signal. So that tells me that it's the routing of this cable somewhere in the car. It's picking up some interference somewhere. So I need to take all the, I guess, cabling out and put it back in park, put it back in reverse. Did we get anything at all? Oh wait, see, that tells me that something's interfering with the signal. Something in that is not happy. But if I turn the car off, right, put the ignition back on with no car running, bing, it's perfect. So I know the cable isn't severed, I know it's not broken. It's picking up, excuse me, it's picking up some interference somewhere. And I know that because when I put the other camera in, it worked fine. So I just need to unroute the cable. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to start from the back. I'm going to start from the back and work forward, because where the biggest concentration of cables is there in the back, and then the other one is there's a big sort of ECU thing under the seat here. So those are my two main points where I think I might be getting into trouble. Well, this morning has been all about trying to make this backup camera work, and this isn't really the car's fault, and I feel bad that it is in some way reflecting on the L322, because it isn't. It's nothing to do with the car. It's got to do with trying to make electronics work that don't want to work. Right, so what I've done is, first area of suspicion was here. There's not a cables behind here, so I took the cable out of there and hung it out and see if that made any difference, and it didn't. And then I thought, well, maybe it's all this down here that's causing the problem. So I pulled the cable out. I used one of my little feeder cables. As I pulled the lead out, I ran a feeder cable through just in case I wanted to reroute it back up again, which I probably will. But that wasn't the source of the problem either. Then I thought, well, maybe it's all this underneath the passenger seat. There's a load of brains and computers and stuff in here. That's a good source of interference. Pull the cable out from there. Still no. Then I pulled it out from all the way down the side because I figured there's probably looms running down inside here. I mean, there's a load of gubbins in here on this side behind the panels here. You know, again, this is where a lot of the electronics for the car live. The amp and stuff is here, so that maybe that's causing the problem. But no. So the last place now that I've attacked is this. I've just taken all it used to run through here, through this little ducting here in the bootlet. I wanted to keep it in there, keep it nice and tidy. But so what I've done now is I've taken the cable out of there and just left it all exposed. So now it's basically passing next to no other wires. It's literally running through the car. So if it doesn't work now, kind of at a bit of a loss. So let me do this. Let me put it in reverse and then turn on the ignition, see if I get a backup signal. Okay, that works. Now back in park and start the car, and let's see what happens. Come on, Pioneer, wake up. All right, let's see. Let's put it in reverse. See, do we get a signal? Okay. So whatever is still no signal. That's crazy. But if I turn off the key, boom. Nothing, because there's no trigger. There it is again. Put it in reverse, turn it on. No video signal. Right, well, after much experimenting using an external battery and rerouting, rewiring, all this stuff, I've come to the conclusion that there's some funny business going on with the wiring, with how the reversing lights are powered. There seems to be some fluctuation in voltage or something that is causing the camera not to work properly. It isn't an interference thing. It's on the face of it, the voltage looks fine, but something clearly isn't right. So it might be a current thing. Actually, I didn't check that. I should check whether the current changes. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do, because I've got to kind of replumb this cable anyways, and it's clearly not the cause of any of the problems with the way I've routed it, so I've got a nice, easy, familiar path to run the cable back up to the car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw power off the headset and run it parallel to this cable to bring it back here to the reversing camera. Obviously I'm going to do that, I'm going to experiment with it first before actually installing it, but I'm going to see if that works, because when I gorilla wired it off the headset previously, it worked fine. So if that will do it, then that I can knock all that together pretty quickly and reinstall this thing, because frankly I've had enough of it. Right, well, this has taken literally all day. I have hit every snag under the sun. The RCA cable that I was using, the trigger wire had stopped working on it, so that involved then having to go get, I don't even know if they're on there. I found another RCA cable, a very, very long one that had been used actually in the Golf. Remember the Golf I did a couple of years ago, the convertible. It had been wired for an amp and there was no amp. So those cables were lying around. I keep old cables just because they're useful for stuff like that. And not only was it like a double RCA, but it also had a trigger wire built into it. So I snagged that, but it ran short. so I had to splice in the other half of it into it and extend the trigger wire. Yeah, and then I had to wire it in here from the back. So I've tapped into the wiring loom that controls the steering wheel controls. So I'm genuinely now testing it for the first time just to see if it works. So fire the car up, make sure that it works until the stereos come on. That's a start. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's put it in reverse. Something's happened. We have a reverse camera. Can't ask for any more than that. Oh, stereo controls still work. I don't know. Hang on. Get out of that. Okay. Make sure my stereo controls still work. Yeah, they do. Yeah, all still working. So that's it. But it has literally taken the entire day to get that backup camera working. Ever since I put the stereo in, it has bugged me that I haven't been able to make it dim at night. What would happen is I wired it all up properly, and this orange wire here that normally tells the stock stereo that it's nighttime. It isn't, because of the CAN bus system, it doesn't send a consistent 12-volt supply. It uses pulses, and the stereo gets confused. And so when you turn on the lights at night, it would go dark, and then it would go bright again for a second, and then dark and bright and dark, on and on and on. And so the only thing to do is to turn off the day-night function on it, but then it's too dark to see what's going on during the day and too bright at night. And having to do that manually every time is a pain in the ass. I tried drawing a feed off the side lamp at the front to see if that would give it a consistent 12-volt supply, and it wouldn't. And then it just occurred to me yesterday, I'm like, why don't you just put a relay in? I have these sitting around anyways. So what I've done is I've hooked it up so that the dashboard illumination wire feeds into the relay, that's the trigger, and then the other good side of that circuit feeds back into the stereo, and it draws a 12-volt. I've it bodged in here temporarily, but it'll draw the 12-volt off the loom that's there. I just need to splice that in. And lo, here it is now in daytime mode. It looks a little bright now because, or sorry, a little dark because of where it's sitting on the dashboard. It's not its natural home. But if I put the lights on now, you hear the little click from the relay, and no flicky up and down. Consistent 12-volt supply, happy stereo, and then when I turn the lights off, click, back again. So we have fixed it. It's taken about 10 minutes to wire that up after all the time and effort I've gone doing all the other things to try and get it to work. I actually feel a bit stupid having not thought of this sooner. But anyway, that's done. Just need to fix it all up, push it all back in. But the stereo is finally done. Digital radio, backup camera, steering wheel controls, you know, all the stuff that I wanted in it is now